Hello friends, Vladimir here with you. Welcome to my weekly review for the 7th of March 2011. The previous week was very volatile one and a very interesting one. Well, I expected at the beginning of the week we will see the US dollar strengthening, and it definitely didn't happen. During the week there were few attempts of the dollar to fight, as we can see on the previous week on 4-hour chart, for example. Few attempts to fight these levels, but these attempts never succeed. And we saw only one pair, only one currency succeed against the dollar. And it was not because of the dollar weakness, it was actually because of one man, Jean-Claude Trichet. And I will talk about it when I come to the euro dollar. Well, what can we expect from the dollar index from now on? I was talking about this weekly chart. I was talking about the potential double top, the double bottom, I'm sorry, on the weekly chart and on the daily chart as well. I was talking about this current engulfing on the previous week, which never proved to be real, and we didn't see it if the dollar index ever correct this level, right? So the divergence is still here. You can see it, right? The MACD is still continuing and continuing and continuing. Divergence is here, but it means that it won't retrace for the long run from now. And why do I think so? Watch this situation. Can you see it, friends? What happened here during 2010? See, okay. It went down while the MACD was going up, right? Only here we saw the correction, then down move again, and only then the retracement began. So that's probably what will happen now. But I want to talk about the weekly chart. Right? We have two lines. One which is going between all the lows, all the highest lows, all the critical lows. Right? If this line is true, that means that this line was broken during the last week. But if I'm going from this low to this low and the last low here, that means that this line is being retested right now. And if so, that means the dollar index should retrace up. Which of the line is true? Well, that's the beauty of the market. We never know until it happens. We never know until it happens. And as I expected from the last week, the double bottom on the last week, on the previous week, to be true, as we saw in the very beginning, since Monday, it never happened. Right? So we do have a Marubozu, an opening Marubozu here, as you can see. Let me just erase this. All right, here, right? It's an opening Marubozu. Okay, never saw a new high. It's opening Marubozu. It could make a retracement here from the U.S. dollar, and we could see an up move, especially because of this divergence. But let's just see how the market begins with this week, and then we will be much clearer. Now this leads me to the chart, right? And I want to talk about some interesting pairs. First of all, I would like to begin with the euro dollar. After all, we saw Jean-Claude Trichet talking about the possibility of raising the interest rate during April. With this optimism, we saw the euro dollar break the 138.50, which, as I mentioned the previous week, is a critical level, and we could definitely expect the euro dollar continuing to rise. Will it be one way up? Probably not. Probably not. The euro still has to fight the 142. Still has not easy resistance here on 140.40. Right? So still many things to go through. This is the daily chart. The divergence of the daily chart is still here as well, as you can see. Right? So does it mean the euro will go one way up? Probably not. Probably not. We could see some corrections. I would even maybe not be surprised if the euro go retest again the 138.50, maybe 139. before it continues up. But I definitely think that the euro is going up now. And to prove with my expectations, the investors are also in from these levels. The end of the week, we stop loss at 131, below the 132, sorry, below the 20 moving average, below the 200 moving average, sorry. And the expectations of the euro to reach 150 during the next month. Okay, during the next months, maybe during the next year, right? From now to beginning of 2012. Why do they think so? Well, it looks like not reasonable, not possible that Bernanke will raise the interest rate in US in the closest period, right? Because Bernanke must continue with his helping program, which does not allow him to raise the interest rate. The European Bank with Trichet actually hints that they will rise probably and possibly the interest rate during April. Yeah. The possibility that London will raise the interest rate is very high as well. Maybe not this week, maybe during the next month or two, but the possibility they will raise the interest rate is much higher now. So this all fundamental things bring bring us to think and to understand that probably the majors will continue to raise up. Not one way up, of course we will see corrections, but for long run it looks like they will continue to rise against the US dollar. Okay, so expectations from the euro are to rise. I do see some correction here. If we go to 4-hour charts, maybe even we can see the extreme points. We could easily see a retracement down, but it would be, from my point of view, every retracement now is an opportunity to buy the euro dollar for a long run. The stop loss could be placed below the 20 moving average of the Bollinger Band, and if you are going for investing the euro, right, for a few months, then the stop should be placed below this support, actually, maybe even as the investor did below the 200 moving average. So that's my expectations from the euro, especially once it broke the 138.50. I do expect it to reach 142 at least during the next actually the next days, maybe weeks. This is my expectation from the euro. What about the British pound? Well, the weekly chart continues to rise. The weekly chart continues to rise, but 133 was never broken again. Right? It still holds this level. If we take a look on this resistance of the RSI here, we could see that the resistance also was not broken. Once it will be broken and we see a close above this line, it will be a sign to buy. I do expect the British pound to rise, but it could easily lead for a retest of 160 again before it continues to rise. So from the weekly chart, I do want to see the break and the close of a 163 first before the long run for 170. But for the daily, from the daily chart, we actually can see here a bearish divergence, right? A bearish divergence here. Well, as we saw from the last weeks, these divergences are very continuing. Very continuing. What can we expect still from this divergence? We can expect for continuing the move in this channel, right? The creation of this channel. That means the British pound could first go to 161, maybe even 160, retest this support, but probably it will be the end. Right? So how can we join the down move? We could go for 4-hour charts, right? We could mark this support as a critical one. We saw it hold it despite of the divergences. And once this support will be broken, it could lead for the move of 161 as we were talking about before, and 160 for as the next target once this one, okay? Once it break the 161. So definitely lots of things to expect. It could easily happen, especially because of the last week news from Britain. That's my expectation. And for the long move, we should see 163 being broken before. What about the next pairs, such as Australian dollar? Well, it looks like the Australian dollar is creating some flag here. We see this up and flag move. One, two, three, four. Probably we'll see the fifth move here. Then maybe six, and then the seven should break it up. Will it happen? Let's see. It's only an expectation from the beginning of this flag. So we definitely have to see. This is the 4-hour chart. What about the bigger time frames? The bigger time frame says nothing more actually. Let me just erase these unneeded lines, and then this one as well. Right. So we still have this continuing triangle. Still can see it move between these critical lines. The expectations are if it breaks the lower line, it could easily reach the 099, 098, maybe even. But the critical level to be broken up is 10250 actually, 10250, maybe even 103 because of the weekly chart, as we can see here, right? So the bearish pressure is high on the weekly and on the daily chart because of the divergences, but as we explained before, as I explained before, the weakness of the U.S. dollar is critical. So Australian dollar is not one to join right now. We have to wait patiently here because one of the critical levels has to be broken before we have the next move. What about the New Zealandian dollar? Well, it reached the critical support line I've mentioned on the previous week, 093.50. It was not easy. It was with very big moves up and down, but it reached finally. Can we join it right now already? No, because during Thursday we will see the Central Bank of New Zealand will release its interest rate. As long as the expectation for the reducing the interest rate are high, we could not buy the New Zealand dollar. Although I do think that it's about few days or maybe few weeks before we have the race of this pair again, and I do expect it to be long run, maybe even to 080 again. So how can we join it? I suggest mark this downtrend line, wait it to be broken. Once it is broken, it's a proof that the moves should be long and take us all the way up. What about the dollar Canadian? Well, I've talked about this interesting pair not once, actually, much more times. This is the weekly bullish butterfly here. From this level, the dollar Canadian should retrace all the way to parity level at least, maybe 101 even. But if we go to the daily chart back again, we could see a creation of some sideways moves here, and we have to be patient and see how it behaves. I would not actually. I would respect this break up if it happened, because it could lead easily, maybe not to the parity level, but easily for the retest of this support around 098. So definitely interesting pair to watch. The risks are pretty low here because the stop loss should be below the last low, and the profit is bigger than the stop. So the risk is pretty low, and the expectations are bullish because of this pattern, because of the divergences on every chart we can see. So definitely interesting thing to watch. But if this low is broken down, expect the down move, the continuing of the down move. About the dollar yen, interesting triangle. I've been talking about this triangle for a few times already, right? This triangle. Well, we could expect a breakdown actually. The yen is very strong. The U.S. dollar is weak against every pair, so we could easily expect for down. Let's see how it will behave around these levels. Once it's broken, it would be a sign to sell, and maybe then we will see 0.78 and 0.75 levels being reached. What about dollar franc? Well, the divergence is still here. I can't actually go against divergence. Once it appears, divergence is so powerful here. It could continue down a little more and more, but still it will be blocked soon. For the down move, if you'd like to join, wait for the break of this level 0.92. The break of this level could lead the dollar candle to 0.90, maybe even 0.88, but still, I think the weekly divergence will, at the end, will win and provide a powerfully long run up. I do expect it to continue down a little bit, and if you want to join, just wait for this level to be broken. As you can see, this support 0.9220 actually. And once we have closed below, it's a sign to sell. The Euro British Pound also open the daily Bollinger Bands, but this resistance has to be broken before we could talk about long run up. And this level is 0.8650. Right? The daily chart also looks like going up, but still, we first want this level to be broken before we could actually talk for long run. And if we want to expect a long run, then the break of this resistance and the break of this downtrend line on the weekly chart will provide us that the euro will go up for long run. Until it does not happen, wait patiently. About the next thing about the gold and the silver, well, I just want to repeat what I've said about a few times already on my weekly explanations, my weekly reviews. As long as this divergence is not created and is not finished with powerful weekly bearish candle, it's bullish, and every retracement down is an opportunity to buy. It is risky around these levels, but that's the truth, right? The silver. It's so powerful, so critical, flight up. So I do not expect it to end until the weekly chart creates the bearish sign. What about the indices? Well, confusing and continues to confuse. The bearish expectations are high because of the critical levels, because of everything. As I say, such divergence will never lie. It's only questions of when. Well, we saw the beginning here with this divergence, with this engulfing and the kicker, then down, then up during the week, then up again, and closed as a doji. So what's next? No one knows. And that's the truth. No one knows. We have this resistance as a critical level. We have this low as a critical level. Now let's be patient. Let's be patient. Once one of these is broken, we could expect the next move. I do expect them continue to fall down, especially because of this bearish crab, as I explained you during the previous week, of the S&P 500. But it's a weekly chart, so it could take a long run. About the other indices, the situation is the same, as exactly the same. We see some critical levels, some support here on the DAX, for example. We see resistance being created here around 7300, right? So the expectations are the same. One of this level should be broken before the next move. The weekly chart of every index are hints that we are going to see it down. And actually, that's my expectation as well. Natural gas Natural gas is one to look for. It looks interesting. We could easily see some retracement because of this divergence here. We could see easily some retracement on the natural gas here as an opportunity to buy at least to the previous resistance around 390. Right? And of course the corn also one to watch. I was talking about it for a few weeks already. It could go and reach the last high, but look of all of these dodges, right? Look of all of these dodges. So let's go for the daily chart. For long run, this uptrend line has to be broken. I do expect this line to be retested before it is broken. So definitely interesting things are about to happen. These divergences are really critical, and we're about a critical time. This is the wheat one, interesting one as well. We can see here an uptrend line. We could see here a potential hidden divergence being created during the next days around around 820, right? We could easily see some hidden divergence of the stochastic being created. So let's see how it behaves around this level. For long run, this uptrend line has to be broken as well. So actually, for this week, the most interesting things to invest is the euro dollar. Every retracement down should be called as a possibility to buy. 142 is the next target, probably for the euro dollar. 142.50 actually, maybe even 143. So, friends, I wish you amazing week, and let's see how the week begins and how the dollar begins this week. Thank you very much for your time. I wish you only the best. Have a great week, Vladimir.